Hey everybody, T.O. from Art Geek Teaching. Today we're going to look at testing some embossing powder on photo paper and plain Jane copy paper. Coming up. Okay, so what I have, I just printed a few backgrounds, some of my photo backgrounds that I have in stock. I have a million of these things that I've shot throughout the year. And so I was just kind of curious what these might look like on small panels with some gold bling, and so I'm going to do a little bit of testing. We're going to use some on resin, some on wax, but the first step is to seal these things. I guess first, here's the paper that I use. It's just a plain Jane matte paper. This one happens to be from Epson. I used to use this a lot. And this is literally just, it's not even 20 pound, this is 17 pound bond, really easy, cheesy. Copy paper, you can see I didn't take any time to do color corrections. I let the printer do all the color work on it, doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do now is take these out, and I'm just going to use a spray matte fixative first, and then I think we'll go over them with some matte medium, but I'm going to use the Blick matte fixative first. These will likely curl up, but it'll be fine. I just want to seal everything that's in there, especially from my printer. This was printed on an Epson 3880 printer, and very nice colors. It'll be fine. I'll just seal them up, and then we'll probably use some other sealant on top. So I'll come back once that's done. Okay, these guys are dry, so I'm just going to real quickly put a little matte medium on here. This is a Liquitex brand. You could use gel medium. You can use, any kind of sealant on this. I'm just going to seal it up, let it dry, and then I'll adhere it to some panels. I'm just going to do all of these, even though my tests are not going to be this big. I can use this stuff for collage or whatever down the road. So I think I'll seal both sides of it. I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll seal the back side too. Not being too precious with it, just getting a good coat of medium on it. And we'll set these aside and let them dry. Almost. Just got to finish this up, clean my brush. Oh, poop. Evidently didn't let those dry quite enough. Interestingly, my matte paper soaked up the spray fixative and dried really, really fast. These papers, the 20 pound bond, didn't dry nearly as fast, which is, I guess it makes sense. This paper is really thin and stuff, but I just figured the matte medium paper would probably, the good photo paper would be the slowest to dry because it's so thick, comparatively speaking. All right. Just a little bit more. I'm going to set this one aside so I can make room for the other one. And you could see these did seal. There's no pigment coming up at all. So they are sealed pretty darn good. When this dries, you'll still be able to see some of the brush marks, which I'm okay with. It's not going to bother me at all. If I didn't want brush marks, I could roll it. Not that important, especially for a test. All right, last one over here. Okay, so super fast. So far, we are not even 5 minutes into this, if we don't include drying time. Drying time actually was only about 5 minutes. So far, we haven't invested very much. Hardly any money and hardly any time. So we'll see what happens here. I'm going to come back I'm going to let these dry pretty solidly, and then I think I will likely flip them over and do the back side, because I know sometimes the resin likes to go through. Oh, that's interesting. Leaving a little texture there. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not, but it's pooling. Well, almost like there's a coating already. Yeah, it's I'm going to leave that because I think it's kind of cool, but it's good to know. Okay, that is it for right now. All right, these are mostly dry. I'm going to flip them over, give us a shot on the back. And I'm only doing this because I'm going to use these, well, I don't know which ones, but some of them I'm going to use for encaustic, and some I'm going to use with resin. And I say that, but actually I'm going to have to use these all with resin because I put a acrylic product on the front of it, and you really don't want to do that with encaustic. It'd probably still be fine, but it's you get into a whole bunch of stuff that is kind of a mess, or can be. It's not always, but can be a mess. So it's just easier not to deal with it. So yeah, these are all relegated to the resin pile, and I'll have to figure out a different way to seal them for encaustic. You could just use a spray sealer for encaustic and be all right. All right. Move these aside. Okay, we'll flip these guys over. Give them a little squirt. You can see how thin that is. You know, just getting them wet actually even shows through the other color. So that's exactly why we want to seal the front and the back of these. I do believe the paper, you know, the printing paper, the photo prints would probably have been okay, but now once we do our test, we'll know for sure that this is a way that we can do it with those and get decent results if our tests work out. So easy to test it, and once it's good, and we know we can rely on that methodology. All right, so let's set these, or let these, I should say, dry. I'll probably run the hair dryer over them so I can get these moving, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, the next step here, I'm just going to zip through real quickly. I'm going to attach my papers to these cradle panels with Yes paste, and then my smaller papers are going to go to those masonite chunks again with Yes paste. But that's it. I'm just going to put my Yes paste on the board first with that little silicone spatula. Then I'm going to thin it out with an old room card, attach my papers, then put a piece of glassine, or in this case wax paper, palette paper, over the top of this, and can either roll it out with a brayer or use a different room key or a catalyst or something, flat catalyst, and get them nice and smooth, and wipe up whatever remaining paste you might have, and that's it. Then we'll let it dry and move on to the next step. Okay, the next step on this is I'm going to use some embossing powder. And one of the things I'm doing here is I just folded a piece of paper so I can recover that powder real easily. And I don't know if you can see this, but I've got a white and a gold. I'll see if I can put these in the description on exactly what they are. But I first wanted to show you, I'm putting them on these masonite panels. I'll use some stencils, and I'm gonna do 2 small panels and then 2 8x10s. And so on the 8x10 panels, this one, which is the paper, the photo paper, I'm just going to use that stencil, and then the photocopy, I'm going to use this other stencil. And so those are the stencils that I'm using on each panel. And once we start here, I'll just speed this up and we'll go through it. But I wanted to show you this. This was really interesting. This is just the 17-pound copy paper, and it's coated on both sides with that matte medium, and it is really soft. It's almost like mamigami. Not quite as soft as that, but it doesn't have, you know, the oil in it either. And so I think what's really fun with this is it was kind of a serendipitous find, really neat discovery. I can fold it up. All of that wrinkled texture will stay, and I could use it with resin or in caustic because it doesn't have any oil. Encaustic might be a little tricky because it does have, it does have acrylic on it with the sealer, but I would be willing to try it, at least in an experiment, and then do a freezer test. But anyway, I just wanted to show that because I thought it was pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. All I'm going to do is use my my pad and ink up, or actually glue up, I should say, all of these, and then I'm going to put my embossing powders on, and at the end I'll hit them with the heat gun. So here we go. Okay, I wanted to talk briefly as I'm hitting these with the heat gun to activate the embossing patterns. You can see, well, one, I've got my heat gun on high, and this is a commercial heat gun that's pretty hot, and so I have it on high, and I'm really, really close to engage the powders, or activate, I should say, the powders. You don't have to be this close. I wanted to see a couple things, especially on my darker ones. One, wanted to see if I could or would make bubbles in that paper, and two, if the glue would hold, if the yes paste would hold or not. And three, if I could actually make or add to the texture. And so on this one in particular, you'll see that I'm really, really close, and I'm moving, well, you can't see because I've sped it up, but I'm moving typically a little bit slower than I would, and I think at the end we'll be able to see that there is definitely a little bit of bubble in there, really small bubbles. And so you can add a little bit of texture this way. The glue did hold, and it was still able to activate the powders. But one thing you'll see about the powders is when we look at the texture, it's a rougher texture. It's not super smooth. It's a little bit bubbly. And so anyway, I just wanted to talk about that as we were going through this. So I took it off super high speed so we could see it. Okay, so now we'll be able to take a peek and see what is here. And I think you can kind of see there is little bubbles in there. Well, they're not bubbles, little raised pieces that are in there. And that is from holding the heat gun really, really closely like that, and it bubbles the surface. And so, again, you don't have to hold the heat gun that closely. You don't have to have it on that high a heat. It will definitely change the look of the powder. You can see that has texture. It is not smooth. And that's okay. That's what I was looking for. The white, and I'm not very experienced with these powders at all anyway, but I definitely am not very experienced with the white. The only ones I've really used are gold and silvers. I've used some of the higher blingy ones a little bit. But anyway, this one looks substantially better. I wasn't as close, and I wasn't moving as slowly, and I didn't have it on high. So 2 different effects we can get. That's it. Have a nice day.